Good morning guys and welcome back to the channel. It's Craig here from Gifts Electrical. I hope you are all well. Please remember to like and subscribe to the channel. You can do that using that big red button down below, and if you change the bell symbol to all, you'll get a notification every time I post a new video. Today's job we are doing, it's a one bed bungalow EICR. It's had a board change back in 2019. So far, board wise, it looks okay. So I've just been around and done some visual checks on sockets and some of the light switches, and then obviously we're going to crack on with testing and stuff. What we have got is all the sockets have been, or most of the sockets actually, 90% of them have been converted from flush to surface mount. Not sure why. So let me get out a shot and we'll take you around the property. So we're in the living room. All of these sockets have been, so this one's been taped up. But they obviously very short because behind there is a metal back box. So yeah, somebody's converted that to a surface box. Obviously we've got a hole there. That's obviously why there was tape there. Same on this one. This has been taped up, so I wonder if this is faulty. So we'll soon find out. But behind there, exactly the same scenario. Metal box, and it's been flush mounted. That is a spur, that's a surface mount converted to flush, flush mount converted to surface mounted. We have cooker outlets, old MK cooker unit in the cupboard. Obviously there is a gas supply for the oven, but obviously they convert it to electric or change to electric oven at some point. That, and I think that socket and that socket, oh no, that socket's a surface one. So actually in the kitchen, there's only two. Where's the other one? Just behind the fridge and washing machine. So there's two sockets there, both are surface. We've got a small shed just there that has a light in it, so we just need to check it. Nothing in here at all. We have, this has been disconnected, I've just checked this. This is for the old like plinth heaters and stuff. It's completely dead. There's no electrics to it whatsoever. We've taken the light switches off. We just obviously got to test all the buttons and stuff. So obviously light switch, we've got boiler in here. Surface, flush converted to a surface. That is a spur. That is again a flush converted to surface. So it seems to be throughout the property that's the theme. We have obviously smokes, but no batteries in them. It's for a new owner, so I'm going to recommend that they upgrade them to actual mains powered fire alarms, heat and a CO2, because there's no CO2. I know that doesn't form part of BS 7671, but it'll be put as an observation just on the report. No coding, just as an observation for the client. The bathroom, we have what I thought was a power shower. It is not. It's fed off a 16 amp MCB with 2.5mm cable. It's actually just a pump. It's fed from the hot water tank. We have a 3 amp fuse spur up there. I've checked with the Mirror website on the specifications of the unit, and it is indeed 3 amp supply. So happy days, no power shower to worry about. So yeah, that's where we're at. This is the board. Not, you know, it's pretty tidy. I appreciate I haven't de-energized it before taking the cover off. I wanted to get a shot of it. So we are going to power down now. The house is empty, it's only me here. We've been in the loft as well. There's absolutely nothing in the loft. The cables run through. Now, one of the interesting things about this is that there is a water and a gas bond. Perfect. But the gas has been bonded twice. So from the board, the bond for the gas goes literally straight up into the loft and connects to the gas bond, which probably about here above us, you know. So there's the board and we're about here for the gas bond. You think, oh, that's naughty. It's not within, you know, 300, 600mm of the main incomer. Well, here's the other thing that they've done. Electrical cupboard. This bond is for the gas, comes all the way round and connects to, we've already checked it, it does connect there. So basically they've connected the gas bond to the MET and then run a secondary bond to the gas pipe. The water bond they've done as well, you know, brilliant, it's got water bond. So runs along the loft space, comes into the cupboard at the top here. Oh, that's hot. I forgot that heating's on. So this is actually the heating supply feed, and they've bonded straight on to the heating supply. And then this is our incoming water pipe. There's our meter. There's our stopcock right down at the bottom, which I think has seized, to be fair, because I can't undo it, but this one is no different. It's yeah, not moving at all. So they've then obviously cross bonded between the other pipes in here. So yeah, but this one here, this one is our incoming feed. So there is a water bond. I just need to obviously, I'll double check that it's a continuous bond. I think it is, based on what I've seen so far of the other supplementary bonding on the pipes. There is continuous feeds that are linking them, so we'll double check that that's okay. But so far, so good. We will see what everything, you know, we'll do our test results now and see what we get from that. So I will see you in a little bit. Okay guys, we've managed to position the camera in a way that we can, because the board's up high as you saw. So I'm just going to start with the cooker circuit. I'm basically going to do IRs on my feeds, my supply feeds first, and then we'll start going through so insulation resistance first, and then we'll do our continuity of line and neutral, line and CPC. So effectively our R1s and RNs and R1s, R2s. Obviously being an empty property, I will normally, there's nothing really connected. Obviously I think the only things connected now are the fridge and washing machine, so which I've disconnected, and the cooker. So we're currently testing up to the isolator on IR. So that should give us a good reading, and then we'll turn the isolator on but reduce the voltage down to 250, as I don't want to damage anything. So just make sure that I've got a good connection. Now this board's actually been done pretty nicely actually, so can't fault whoever did it. The only thing that I will probably do afterwards is just stick a bit of intumescent seal, because it just does go into the loft space and they haven't sealed it. So line and neutral R1, not R1, IR test at 500 volts. So we're getting greater than 999, which basically is an off-scale reading for my meter. I'm then going to do line and CPC. And we're also getting greater than 999. And then the final one will be to do line, CPC and neutral rather, which is also greater than 999. So I'm going to quickly turn the unit back on. Now it's a very basic cooker, so I can't imagine we're going to get many issues. There's no neons in it or anything like that. So what we'll do, so we'll just do our line and neutral. So greater than 199.9. So that is an off-scale reading at 250. We'll then do line and CPC is greater than 199.9. And then so our reading on line and neutral is also greater than 199.9. So we're good on that front. So the next thing will be to do our R1 RN. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to link it out here. So I've got my trusty Q-Tech clips. So I'll just do R1, Rn, and then I'll go and do R1, R2. Okay, so the next circuit we're doing is this 20 amp radial, which is for one, I repeat, one socket that is in the kitchen behind the door. So there's nothing connected to it. So we've done a 250 test, but we'll do 500, and again it's greater than 999 on the line and neutral. We'll do line and CPC. Again, greater than 999, and we'll do line to neutral to CPC, greater than 999. And just for poop and giggle, I'm going to send 1000 volts down it, and it's fine. So when I do a 1000 volt test, I really only ever do that when I'm in an empty house and there's nothing to blow up. And I just want to see if it actually does it. So we are, yeah, that comes back as greater than 1999 megaohms. So yeah, we're good on that front. So I'm just going to leave those disconnected for now. The next feed, if I recall, is the shower. And this is a 16 amp supply connecting to a fused spur that is only obviously has a 3 amp fuse in it. So we're gonna, because obviously it's connected to the shower, which does have obviously electronic components in it. We don't want to, so we're going to treat it similar to a pat test. So we're not actually going to do line to neutral. We will do line to lines. So line and neutral, we'll link those out. And we're going to do lines to CPC because I don't want to blow up the pump in the shower. So we'll do a 250 test as well. And we've got greater than 199.9 on that feed. So I'm happy with that. So that, obviously we just need to do then our R1s, RNs, and R1s and R2s. But for now that will do those. Right, so the next one is, I'm going to do the ring final circuit next. And with the ring final circuit, obviously, and then I'm going to have to move the camera to do the others, so this will be the last one on film. But this one actually has 3 circuits connected to it, so we're obviously going to have to identify which ones are which should be straightforward enough. That seems to be separate versus the other 2. So let's go into here. So we'll just tuck those back in there for now. We're then going to take out these 3. So again, they've stripped them quite far back, so I don't actually, yeah, they're stranded cables anyway, as opposed to solid conductors. So what we'll do our continuity readings first. Just make sure that we do have a complete ring on everything. So we don't on that. Let's just see if we have. There we go, it's that one. So not that one. That's obviously a separate radial for something. So what's that one? That might be for the socket in the loft, to be fair. There is a standalone socket in the loft. So we've got 0.32 on our line to line. Oh, there we go. 0.32. 0.32. So that's looking very favourable so far. And then it looks like it's 1. Obviously 2.5 and 1.5, so that would give us a difference of 1.69. So 0.32 times 1.67, we should get a reading of 50. 0.53. So let's just see, shall we? And we got a reading of 0.48. Yep, 0.48. So that's better than expected. So obviously I need to make a note of those. And then what I'll do is just find out which socket that goes to and go from there. So guys, I'm going to switch you off for now and then we'll come back a little bit later. Okay guys, so we're now kicking off with the certificate side of things. I've already gone through and I've put everything back together. There are some issues and I'll talk you around through those after I've done this. So I'm not going to show you the first page which will have the client details on, but basically you fill that out, client details. It'll ask you, you know, what's the condition of the existing installation. I always fill that out after I've done my testing and stuff, so I can actually put and say it's fine, or there are issues and this needs to be resolved, etc., etc. So you then get onto the second page and it'll ask you, you know, it'll say next inspection. So obviously it says I, or we, as indicated on page 1, recommends, subject to the necessary remedial work being taken, this installation should be further inspection and tested at an interval no more than an X amount of years, and you give you a reason. So in this case it's going to be a purchased property. I'm going to recommend 5 years because obviously it's still, you know, it's an aging installation. It's probably 40 to 50 years old. Test results have come back okay. There are some lower readings on there that need to, you know, so things like, I'll go through it, but the CPCs of the light fittings, there's no continuity there. So, but anyway, so I'm going to recommend 5 years. My reasoning, obviously, it says subject to remedial work being undertaken. So, reason for recommendation 5 years is obviously it's an older installation. It would obviously, it's always going to benefit from additional checks further down the line, but being bought, it may not get one at all. You then have this page, which is your observations. I'm not sure how you're seeing this. So in your observations, they get generated automatically when you go on to the next page. Or not this page, but you'll see the tick list information. So details of limitations. These should be discussed prior to obviously, conducting an EICR. And it basically says the installation and testing has been carried out in accordance with BS 7671 2018 as amended. Cables concealed within trunking and conduits, or cables and conduits concealed under floors, inaccessible roof space, and generally within the fabric of the building or underground have not been visually inspected unless specifically agreed between the client and the inspector prior to installation. So details of the installation covered by the report will be all fixed wiring, accessories, you know, switches, sockets, etc. Agreed limitations, so I always have an agreed limitation that no heavy items will be removed by myself, fixed in appliances, etc., things like that. Extent of sampling, so my sampling will range anything from 25% onwards, so the more issues I find, the more I investigate. And actually in this property, because it's so small, we took off every light switch. So in this place we did 100% or known, 100% of all known accessories and switches, if there were any hidden. And then operational limitations, including the reasons. So I don't think we had any operational limitations. No operational limitations. So we're good on that front. The next thing that we have is the supply characteristics. So in our case, it's a TNS, but obviously that is what the head is. It's a TNS head, but the likelihood is it's probably TNCS, let's be honest. The supply device, now it has no markings on it, so it's non-verifiable, but it does say 100 amp, and that's about it. So we marked down that it's got 100 amp. Obviously we haven't visually checked it, so we can't, we haven't taken the fuse off, but it says it's 100 amp. It's obviously one phase and 2 wires. We've confirmed polarity, and obviously you do that when you're doing your ZS, etc. Oh, sorry, ZE, your earth fault loop impedance. So the next box that it asks you to put in is about prospective fault current. It does it in kiloamps. So this is 1.211. So it was 1,211 amps. And we had an external loop impedance of 0.30. So distributed facility for the earthing arrangements. We have our main protective conductors, where is it? 16 mil. So this was the main protective earthing conductor, and that has been confirmed as 16 mil and verified. So again, using, it's quite easy on this job. It basically, you can see it go to the fuse board, but a wander lead always helps. And then main protective bondings are copper, and they are 10 mil, and they have been done. And obviously I visually checked them, but also used a wander lead to obviously go around and check them. And our main switch is a BS EN 60947-3, and this is located by the front door in well, we'll call it consumer unit. It's a double pole switch. The rating and setting of device is not applicable because it's not adjustable, so we put that as not applicable. Current rating though is 100 amps. Hager are now introducing 400 amp in some of their boards, which are being used in domestic situations. I know my wholesaler supplies me them, and it's rated for 230. Obviously where an RCD is used as a main switch, it's not applicable, so we just NA that. And then you have the next boxes, or your tick boxes. So what I do is I always set all and tick it, and then I go through. So as we go through, so the first box is about external condition of electrical intake equipment. So there's no isolator, so that's not applicable, but everything else is fine. So the service head and cable are in good condition, no issues to report on those. Earthing arrangements, that's fine. Meter tails, again, all fine. And the meter itself is fine. It's a smart meter that's recently been installed. There are no other sources of power, so we just need to NA those. And then the next one is about earthing and bonding. So presence and condition of distributed earthing arrangement is fine. We don't have an earth electrode, so we NA that. And then we're basically going through the list and checking those. So confirmation of adequate earthing size, yes. Accessibility and condition of the main earthing terminal, yes. Confirmation, yes. So the bonding and conductor size is fine. Accessibility and condition of main protective, yep, so that's all accessible. Accessibility and condition of other protective bonding connections. Obviously there is supplementary bonding, because prior to the RCD board, it probably had an older board that didn't have RCD protection. So it does have other bonding, mainly supplementary. And then provision of earthing and bonding labels at all appropriate locations. Yes, there are, which is good. So section 4 is about the distribution board. So adequacy of working space, etc. So you've all seen videos and YouTube clips and Instagram pictures of other Sparks who have had the issue of, you know, being stuck in little tiny cupboards and stuff. In this case, it's above the exit of the house, so it's in an accessible location. Fixings are good, IP enclosure is good, fire rating is now good because I've sealed it. It's not damaged or impaired. There's a link switch. We've checked that the main switches function, and it's capable of being secured in the off position. It is. So we've got operation of circuit breakers and RCDs to prove disconnection. Yes, functional checks have all been done. Correct. And all the CPCs match up to the corresponding line and neutral based on the location within the board. And then we've got all our stickers. The only one that isn't present at the moment is the main earth terminal one, which needs to go into the electric cabinet. So I'll do that. They're all Hager, they're all single pole, and they're all, you know, where it comes in through the board, it's got the grommet strip. So that's good. Protecting against electromagnetic effects where cables enter magnetic consumer units. So it's referring to the line and neutrals. Are they coming through the same holes? Yes, they are. So we have RCDs for fault protection, which is not applicable.
but we do have RCDs for additional protection. There's no SPD, so it's not applicable, and there's no AFDD, so again, also not applicable. Confirmation that conductor connections, including bus bar, are correctly located in terminals and tight and secure. Yes, I torque tight everything, as you guys have seen. If you don't do that, you're being a bit silly. Your elbow does not have a built-in torque device, so get yourselves a torque screwdriver. There are some really good ones out there. Obviously, Vera, Weha, Armeg, and the one I've got is Draper, which it does the job, and it was cheap from TLC. So the next, moving on, is about the final circuit. So we've been able to identify all conductors, cables correctly supported throughout, installation of live parts, we're all good, non-sheathed live conductors protected by enclosure, ducting, etc. So that's all fine. So wiring systems, that's all fine. So we don't have any mobile equipment, so that's not applicable. This is obviously the 30 milliamp RCD for additional protection. So it is for all circuits rated 32 amp. We don't have any circuits above 32 amp. Obviously for cables concealed in walls at a depth of less than 50 mil, that's easy to tell. You take a socket off, do you have 50 mil between the front of the front of the socket and the wall? The answer is generally no. So we have got RCD protection for that. We don't have obviously walls and partitions containing metal in this building. And then for all AC circuits supplying luminaries, yes. Now, one of the things that we have, circuit protective conductors, that has to come down as FI. The reason being is we've got a load of lighting circuits, one lighting circuit, and only 2 lights and 2 switches have an R1, R2. We have no continuity of CPC to any of the other switches in the house or the light fittings. So there's obviously a junction box or something where there's probably a broken CPC. So lack, so we're going to put, so on the observation, it'll be no continuity of CPC to all but 2 light fittings. So yeah, that's what we're at the moment. You can add images and things like that. Obviously, I'm not going to do that, and hit save. So everything else on there is absolutely fine for now. The next thing is going on to there. So the next page, you get another set of items to inspect. So again, we're looking at, if I tick all again, and then I can just not applicable everything. So here we have provision of fire barriers, ceiling arrangements, and protection against thermal effects. Yes, as much as obviously humanly possible. Band 2 cables segregate for band 1. They are actually. There are some data cables or telephone cables running near, but they are separated. So yes, that's all there. Right, so the next one is termination of cables at enclosures. Extent of sampling indicated on page 1 of the report. Connection soundly made and under no strain. We're going to see through that. The reason being is obviously all of the sockets have been converted from flush fittings to surface fittings. For whatever reason, there are metallic back boxes, and they seem to be quite deep. But because they haven't then extended the cabling, you literally take the socket off and you have maybe 5 to 10 mil of play. You can't pull the socket. So it literally, in my view, that then puts strain on the cable. So sockets converted from flush to surface, but cables not extended to allow socket fronts to come off. Right, no basic installation or conductor viable outside enclosure, that's fine. Connection of live conductors adequately enclosed, yes, they're fine. Adequately connect at point of entry to enclosure, well, yes, they are. you just can't pull them any further. And then condition of accessories, socket outlet switches and junction box. So again, we can see through that as socket on the back wall near window in living room has side entry point unopened. So obviously you can't fit a standard finger in there. It's so obviously it's one of the plastic sockets. Somebody's broken a hole in it and it was covered up with tape. But yeah, you can't, obviously it's not the socket's not damaged, but you can't therefore put your finger in. So you know, it's a recommendation to change it. I think there'll be you know, there's a few in here that the client will decide whether or not they want to do. And then we go into isolation and switching. So for general, obviously we're talking things like, you know, you've got the switch fuse spur, that's a point of isolation. You've got your cooker outlet, that's another point of isolation. Obviously the switches on the sockets, that is, you know, switching off from account, you know, it's all the same thing. I know it probably, this is obviously for domestic dwellings, obviously, but you would get, you know, more in depth on industrial stuff with isolations and stuff. So in general, the devices are present and the condition of appropriate devices, that's all fine. Correct operation is fine. Obviously, we've got the cooker outlet, which is capable of being secured in the off position. They do all switch off, which is good. They're in an acceptable location, and they are clearly identified in position by position durable markers, so that's fine. Warning labels posted in situations where live parts cannot be isolated. That doesn't apply. We're good on that. Permanently connected equipment are going to things, you know, these are going to be things like your power showers, your cookers, etc., where they you know, you're not typically moving them away. So they all of these are fine. You then have cable entry holes in ceiling above luminary sealed so as to restrict the spread of fire. Obviously, with all the lights I've taken down, they are very small holes, just with 1 or 2 cables coming out of them. There are no recessed downlights, so that's not applicable. So we've checked, so we basically have to list the number of luminaries we've inspected. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in total, which is basically the entire house. So 6 in total. Bed, so we've got bedroom, we've got lounge, or we'll call it lounge, hallway, kitchen, bathroom, and then we've also got like a snug area. So yeah, so that's all fine. So we're going to save that briefly, go back to our page 4, I think it was. Nope, page 5. Right, so the next thing is locations containing a bath and shower. So obviously additional protection for RCD not exceeding 30 milliamps, yeah, so that's fine. Low voltage circuits passing through zone 1 and 2, not serving the location. So there actually isn't anything in zones 1 and 2 not serving that location. Obviously the shower is in its zone, but this specifically applies to circuits passing through zone 1 and 2, not serving location. So it doesn't apply, but obviously for low voltage circuits serving the location, that does. Selve and pelve, there isn't any shaver sockets or anything. So we don't have, we don't have any protective measures or requirements for selve and pelve, and we don't have a shaver socket. There is supplementary bonding, but obviously it's not actually required because obviously we've got RCDs, but it is there. We have a low voltage, we don't have a socket outlet sited, so that's fine. Suitability equipment, external sensors, yes. So that's again, there'll be things like the shower and the light, they are fine, and suitability equipment for installation in a particular zone. So that's all fine. And then for other special locations, we don't have any, but if you had an electric vehicle charger, that is obviously considered a special location. If they had a swimming pool, that is also a special location, etc., etc. So schedule of items are inspected, so that's, I'm happy to sign that. Now, we now move on to the certificate side of things. So NIC, it's pretty straightforward. You've got the lightning bolt on the, don't know how well you can see this. Let's see if we can bring this down a bit. There we go. So on the left-hand side, you have this lightning bolt, and you click on that, and it says add circuit, add DB. So if we do an add circuit, so I always put the RCDs in, so it's not a circuit per se, it's just, we'll call it one, okay, and RCD, just so it is on the people. I know people will probably do things differently, that's entirely up to you. Now when we did do, we've checked the polarity of it, and we've, obviously that doesn't apply. Operation time, now here's the kicker on the operation time. So this needs to be flagged up. Actually, I need to go back on the report and go back for the regarding the RCD, because on both RCDs we have a trip time of 150 milliseconds on RCD1 and 148 on RCD2. The times fives meet. We got 40 on the first RCD and 37 on the second. So, and the test button works. So just going to save those and then blank the rest. So we've got it on record. So next one is going to be the actual circuit. So we've got RCD1, so I always put 1, and then it's going to be 1 again, which will be for the cooker. And you literally just type it in, you go into the drop box and you pick what you want. So obviously we've got thermoplastic insulated sheath cable. Reference method is C, it's all clip direct and it serves 1 point. It is a 6mm with a 2.5. Max disconnection times is 0.4, and it is a 60898 type B with a rating of 32 amps and 6 kiloamp short circuit supply. So with it being a TNCS system or a TNS system, it will automatically populate the maximum ZS for the installed device. We've got a 30 milliamp RCD, R1, R2. For that was, it was 0.19, and then we did, that was, what was the IR on that? That was 999 and 999 at 500, and then polarity was confirmed, and then the measured ZS on this one was 0.57, and again RCD time on there. We know what the RCD trip time for this was, 155 milliseconds. It was tested. And that's it. You just do that for every circuit now. So I'm going to plow on with that, and then I'll come back to you.
Right, guys, just quickly point out these lights. So we've got these two metallic fittings and those two switches there. They have continuity of CPC. They were fine on the R1, R2, gave me a ZS as well. And then the only other one that has a link to the earth is, or the CPC, is this switch, which does the outside lights and the doorbell. So there's only one outside light, this little one here. But yeah, we've got continuity there. So it's just the rest of these lights that all have obviously plastic switches, plastic lights. So there's obviously a junction box or something upstairs in the loft that is just, you know, there's obviously a break between the line and CPC. So I've put that on the report. Obviously our RCDs are tripping on, you know, 1 times are, you know, high, but they are within. So I've just put it as an observation on the report, not an actual. I've not graded it because actually they are within you know, tolerances. And the 5 times is bang on 40 milliseconds, which again is allowable. So that is it. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Please remember to like and subscribe. Give it a thumbs up, give it a thumbs down. Obviously, it's fine either way, whatever you want to do. But whatever you do, I hope you have an absolutely wonderful day. Bye for now.